section into an actual ponytail, because these will have the angled flat twist. What I did was just make sure that these parts look as close to straight as humanly possible. Okay, and then we're going to start by subsection as hair. I like to start at the nape. Okay, I like to start at the nape, and then I'll basically work myself up, and I like to put these in subsections so that I know at least how many two-strand twists is in generally each area, and it makes it look a little bit more fuller, and it cuts down the work when you're able to actually see what you are working with. Okay, and by doing this, I'm determining how large my twists are going to be. Okay, so this section, taking off a little bit more because it's still pretty thick. And around the edge line, I like to make it a little smaller. And then as we come up, I like to make them a little bit more larger, just depending on what style we're kind of going with. Because if you want them to be able to put it in multiple styles, it needs to be at a nice density to where it's not too many, that they don't have anything to really work with because they can't really put it in a ponytail. So you want this to be workable, two-strand twist, but you also want it to flow and look full. So you want it to be a lot or give the illusion of a lot, but you also want to make sure the density is right so that they can actually do stuff with this. Okay, so not too big and definitely not too small. Okay, so I'll put this in a section, and this is going to help as we go along because it's going to allow us just to move. So we'll have free range to just flow through. Okay. And this is how I try to keep the lines as straight as possible because they are definitely pre-sectioned. All right, so we're going to be starting this last section because as you see, I've already subsectioned the hair and I put the hair up. So now I'm going to get started. So I literally just take a small piece and I literally put it into two sections and I start the twist. Okay. Now we just simply apply a rubber band to the end, and it's okay if you have some short pieces that try to come back or come out. What you could do is try to start twisting this in two different directions opposite of each other. Okay, and that's to try to tuck those small hairs as much as possible. When I get down to the end, what I do is apply a rubber band. I try to use a nice thick rubber band. If I don't have those available, or can't find those for purchase, then I will use two smaller diameter rubber bands. Okay, so this is twist number one. So we're just gonna do this all over. Now I won't talk through the whole entire video, so you guys can just kind of follow along. I'm going to go ahead and just allow it to play through because now you get the logistics. Okay, and the subsection, and as we go along, you will find is going to be very important because it just makes the job just a little easier. Because as you're going through, you're not tangling any locks aren't getting in the way. You're just simply able to twist and get to work, okay? And when you're in the hair industry or you doing this at home, it's just gonna be best for time consumption. Just meaning you don't want to spend 5 years. And this is gonna help it be really neat, okay? And don't worry, you may have little pieces that stick out at the end towards the rubber band, especially if you just did a trim or a cut. That's going to be even more prominent then, but it's okay. Sometimes you can even take the rubber band and do like this here for your little scraggly ones so that they can be caught in there as much as possible. Now, it's two ways that you, so as I was explaining, it's two ways to do this twist. Either you can twist them as you go along if you want it to be extremely tight, or if you're looking for a more elongated two-strand twist with little tension, you're just going to politely not twist and just tuck it. Okay, so you're just going to be tucking and twisting. You're not going to be putting the extra tension on there by twisting it in opposite directions, only until you get to the end, okay? One row done, we're going to the next one. Also, I made sure that I pinned these up or put them in a rubber band up to just kind of stay out the way. My client did shampoo, but she does have a little dry scalp, and I asked for no oils during this hairstyle so that my hands can actually grip it. So as you see me working through, I'll actually be spraying it with a little bit of healthy scalp spray. And this is a liquid dry shampoo or antiseptic to keep the scalp clean as we go along. Once we finish, I'll be oiling it down with the Omega oil, DHT inhibitor oil. This is the healthy scalp spray that you see me spraying. I just go in between and hit the scalp, okay? So you'll see me spraying that from here and there. All right, so again, on the edge lines, you want to make those as small as possible, okay? And as you see me start to pick up speed, to be honest, in my video, like when I'm looking at my eyes, my hands aren't going that fast. But as I'm looking at the other video, I noticed that it is going pretty fast. So towards the end, I'll try to make sure that we slow it down so that you can see kind of like what we're doing. For these little pieces, I like to twist. Okay, so take it and twist. Remember I was saying twist it in different directions. This is so that you can tuck those smaller pieces as best as possible. If you notice that you're getting towards the end and you have no longer pieces on one side, just simply borrow from the other side, okay? And continue on with the twisting method. Going down. And I'll make sure this isn't the only twist video that I have available. We'll put some more down in the links, okay, in the attachment section. So you have different ones that we've done. Now, a good indicator too, as you go along, if you want them even and consistent, you could actually count the squares for the width. So you could do 3 boxes on every single lock, and you could do 4 boxes down, 3 boxes down, and this will kind of help you keep it consistent as you go along. But just remember, the structure of the head is a circle, okay? So that means it may not be perfectly uniform towards the end. And that's truly okay. Just try to make those parts as straight as possible, and just try to make them as even as possible. And if you're doing the box method, just try to make sure they're as close to the diameters and ratio as possible. Now for my thicker locks, or maybe like locks get a little thicker towards the end, I would suggest using 2 rubber bands to secure those, and maybe only doing 2 to 3 loops. This is a style that your client can actually shampoo, get wet in, because it is secured. Okay, so as you come up, and if you notice that the locks or the twists are getting larger, what you're going to want to do is take off a row, okay? And to be honest, when you're working on these lock twists, it's actually easier when the lock or the 2-strand twist is a little bit smaller, because when you're working with a larger 2-strand twist, when you get down towards the end, it may become a little bit hard to hold them together as you twist, and may be hard to actually keep all the stray away in to keep it as neat as you would like. So just be really mindful to go slow towards the end when the 2-strand twists are larger. Be sure to give yourself grace, because even for me being experienced in doing this for an extremely long period of time, I still have small little pieces that come out. Some people use a crochet hook or a bead tool. So when people place beads on, they use a tool. So some people use that to actually groom the twist, so meaning pull in the small pieces of hairs. There's going to be a few different tricks a couple tricks to the trade that you can make them look neater. But just practice just the general technique. And I assure you that I don't really use the crochet method or the beads tool to groom it. I just take my time when I get to that bottom portion and just go much slower, and make sure that I'm twisting in both directions to secure the smaller pieces if I know that it's going to be a struggle. So if you see me at the beginning, I'm going extremely fast, and towards the end, I am not. And if you look, I have a small little piece that stuck out. So some imperfections may be inside of those 2-strand twists, but after you do 25, 50 2-strand twists, they're not going to be in there looking at small little pieces. So forgive yourself as you learn the technique, and if you need to go slower, just take it slow throughout the entire lock, and just watch the tension and making sure that you're not pulling so much, because you see, as I start the rotations or start the twist really quick or fast, you see her head is nodding a little bit too. So just be a little bit mindful when you're on the edge line, and if you have a client that have weaker locks, or if you have somebody just a little bit more tender-headed, then you just might want to be a little bit more gentler as you doing a 2-strand twist. So just be mindful. And I talk a little bit about the rubber band placement, but I try to do 2 rubber bands, you know what I'm saying, if I don't have a thick one. But either or, if you know your client is going to be rocking this for a minute, just go ahead and throw 2 rubber bands on there, and do it 2 to 3 loops, just so that you can have that added security. And if one rubber band pop, then you have another one. And if that client is saying that they're going swimming, definitely do 2 rubber bands at the end, because sometimes the elasticity may, may be a little bit more weaker than others, especially when you tend to get into the water, ocean water, stuff like that. Sunlight make the rubber bands a little bit weaker. So just keep those things, just be mindful. Now, a lot of people may have different opinions when it comes down to the separating. But as you see, it is very imperative to make sure that you do small sections, okay? This is so that I'm not double guessing, changing stuff up or anything like that when I'm inside of the smaller section. So meaning the subsection areas that I'm taking the rubber band off, it's just much easier to work with when you already have an analogy of these are the rows that I am working with. So the thickness will not change. but how many rows going down, depending on where I'm at. So on the nape lines, again, I've already discussed that I make them a little bit smaller. You know what I mean? So I may be doing 2 to 3 rows because those locks are a little bit smaller too as well. And as I get into the midsection, as I already previously instructed or will be covering, I absolutely go smaller to 2 rows because the size of the locks in those areas tend to be more density. So like, more thicker locks. So it's just better to downgrade when you're getting into the center, okay, of the back area. And again, those subsections are just going to help you flow through the hair because you're not going to have to continuously, organize the hair, redefine your sections. The sections aren't going to be all of a sudden too big. So it's just leaving you to just, know how thick you want those, whether 2 rows, 3 rows. I wouldn't really suggest 4 rows because once you get the twisting down, it's going to be extremely difficult to hold those together as you put the rubber band in there. So again, as you see, if you looking, the perfection isn't all the way there, but when you get done with the style overall, it's going to look amazing. So the perfection that I see is at the bottom is, a little few pieces, sticking out at that last one I just did. But it's not going to be the end of the world. Just try to make it as neat as possible. And it's going to have an overall general neatness in the appearance. I try to keep everything at the top. So as you see, even though it's subsectioned and put into the rubber bands, I drop a large rubber band or the ponytail at the top. And then I allow the subsections to come out. Now, I'm dealing with 2 subsections at a time. If you only want to deal with 1, you definitely can. It's no specific direction that you have to do it. I just like to start at the nape and again go up just so that the twist can just fall down and I'm not having to put those in a rubber band. In this area, we have more of a gap. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I twist this into that gap area so that it can lay down that way. And you kind of get that when you do a straight line to separate the back from the front. So what us doing this is going to help alleviate that, okay? Because it's just going to fall in that area. And remember, for the thicker ones, you're going to definitely want to make sure that you put 2 so that they don't pop off. Even if you do have a thicker rubber band, if you have a thicker one towards the end, then you're going to definitely want to do that. And it's set right there in the crack. Alright, towards the front, you just want to make sure that you do them a little smaller so that you can occur some multiple twists. So you want to get that volume going. So as you get done, lay them down so that you can continue to see exactly how much you have on this side as you work. It's okay to allow the sections to get a little bit smaller, and they're all gonna blend in. Okay, so as you come up, and if you notice that the locks or the twists are getting larger, what you're going to want to do is take off a row, okay? And to be honest, when you're working on these lock twists, it's actually easier when the lock or the 2-strand twist is a little bit smaller, because when you're working with a larger 2-strand twist, when you get down towards the end, it may become a little bit hard to hold them together as you twist. And it may be hard to actually keep all the spare waves in to keep it as neat as you would like. So just be really mindful to go slow towards the end when the 2-strand twists are larger. so now we're coming up on that side. And so I tightened up the edge line. Just one row so that it could give it more of a neater appearance. And as you see, this is no longer going on straight rows. It's going to start having some curvature. The important thing to remember is that the way that you want the hair to lay, that's the sections that you need to have, so that you can twist in the direction that the hair is going to lay. Since I'm going to have more of a bang in the front, we're going to be twisting only to this side so that the twist can remain in this section, or remain on this side. Let me say that. Make sure that you twist that over when you're applying the rubber band. Twist the remaining hairs over to give it a neat appearance. I've already hit it with my Healthy Scalp spray to cleanse the scalp. As you do this, you want to kind of look to see exactly how it's starting to look. I have a section where we're going to be doing flat twists, and those are also going to be coming over to this side too as well. As you see with the pre-sections, this keeps the neatness of the overall appearance and style. Make sure that you keep those sections with straight lines as possible and try to keep them consistent. This is for overall appearance. So for this section, for the flat twist, I am actually pre-separating it just to see what issues that I may encounter and how much workable room that I have, okay? And then try to make these sections as straight as possible with a curve, okay? So just meaning I'm just trying to make a nice curved line so that it can be like detailed, you feel me? And these aren't set in stone. This is just the idea of how I want it to be laying. You know what I'm saying? To be braided. So I play with it until I get it to that certain point of where I wanted it. And as I'm going, I may switch it up again too as well. And that's okay. So all of these will be going over this way, okay? And it's going to increase the amount of twist that we have in the front, because that's what's going to lay on that side. Alright, for the flat twist, I'm just going to start at one side and I'm going to twist it back, okay? And I'm going to pick up everything in that row. And then I'm going to tuck it under. Take another lock and add it in as I take the other one and put it under. Okay, so we just pick up as we go and we just tuck under. One go on top, this one go on the bottom, and I'm going to do that as I continue on up. And when I get to the point to where it's nowhere to go, we just start to twist this so that it can actually lay over this way. And then once I get to the end, I'm just going to apply a rubber band, okay? And this will just lay over to one side. If you ever have one that's extra long, just take it and wrap it around and then fold it over so that it can still be neat. So I'm giving y'all some nice little tad bits and tips for you to apply. or it's for you to apply on your next client or when you're doing your own hair. Okay, and then that's just gonna fall right there. We're gonna continue this. So as we're leaving up in that last section, you're gonna see me apply a rubber band to secure it. Again, I can't go over. Be comfortable and making sure that the style is gonna last at least 2 to 3 weeks. Use some antiseptic to cleanse the scalp in between for shampooing or a liquid dry shampoo. In this top view, you're just seeing me maneuver my hands in a different direction just so that you guys can get a better angle of how I'm doing the flat twist, or a better angle of how I'm doing the flat twist, and how I'm doing my hand motion. So again, in the bigger view, you have one that is just up close so that you can see the position of my body. And then for that second one, if you still need to rewind, that is fine. Just rewind it back so that you can see the hand motion. So in both angles, I'm like leaning over a little bit when starting that flat twist. And it's okay to have your client lean towards you a little bit, just so that if you are not tall, you're not like reaching completely over, because you do see me standing a little bit on my tippy toes. So I wanted to make sure that I put the structural posture that you probably need to be in order to do this comfortably. And I wanted to be realistic with that top view of how sometimes you may have some pieces that come out, especially if you have a recent trim, if you have a more tapered type of style or cut in the locks. You may have shorter pieces, or sometimes it's due to breakage. So this style also is a great style when people have breakage, just to kind of give them an overall appearance look to where the hair is together. And also too, as well, it kind of keeps the hair a little bit more secure as a protective style and kind of out the way. Just make sure that your clients are using a leave-in conditioner just as general practice for this style, to make sure that you're still supplying some type of amino acids to the hair to kind of help rebuild. But again, you're seeing that hand motion, and that's what I want us to concentrate on, is the actual hand motion that's needed as I take it into the two-strand twist as well. So at this point, again, you're seeing really small detailed sections. And I wanted to make sure that I put that flat twist in there. And we always start with two, okay? 2 strands of hair, okay? And just politely laying them down underneath one another. I've explained this a few times in the video, but I do want to say that you need to keep your hands as close to the scalp as possible to make sure that you're applying enough tension so that it remains on the scalp as you take it into that 2-strand twist on the ends, okay? So transitioning from the flat twist into the 2-strand twist. I want you to really pay attention of how I'm applying that tension, and I actually start a new position when I twisted it under, because we were going into the 2-strand twist. So for my beginners who are going to go out and try this for the first time, I just want to let you know that be forgiving for yourself and do extra small sections. The smaller the sections are for the 2-strand twist and the flat twist, the easier it's going to be for you to manipulate those locks, okay? Make sure that you hold a nice firm tension, but just ask the client throughout, is the tension okay? And if so, make sure that you lighten up that touch, because it can get easy to apply a little bit more tension than intended due to you trying to keep the neatness of the 2-strand twist and the flat twist. Now, we try to touch base on multiple things and give you multiple views when doing this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any feedback, just make sure that you guys do a review. Again, we try to put in multiple views where you can see the flat twist being done, because some people are more visual. So take your time, slow it down if need be for the last segment
to see if this helped and assist. So this last clip is going to be slowed down so that you can actually see even in more detail the flat twist. Thank you, everybody.